Hey, what do you say, everybody? You've been waiting for it to get here, and here we are. It is Friday, January 31, into the big Super Bowl weekend. Good morning and welcome to the Bill Press Show as we come out to you all across this great country of ours from our studio on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., reaching out to you on Free Speech TV and on our video stream, TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. President Obama on the road again yesterday, out to Milwaukee and then down to Nashville, carrying his message of economic opportunity for all Americans. His message from the State of the Union. He once again called on Congress to act to help the middle class in this country. And if Congress doesn't act, he vowed once again to do what he can by executive order without sitting around and waiting for Congress. Big news in Washington yesterday when veteran Congressman Henry Waxman from California announced that he is going to retire, joining over a dozen other Democrats who are stepping down this year. Down south, the governor of Georgia admits that he and the mayor of Atlanta screwed up by not taking the necessary steps to get ready for that big snowstorm and by letting all government and private employees go home at the same time. And, of course, sports fans are gearing up for this big Super Bowl weekend. It's the Broncos versus the Seahawks in an open-air stadium up in northern New Jersey outside of Secaucus, where the temperature is expected to be not as bad as we thought. It's going to be somewhere around 35 or 40 degrees. I certainly think those big, bad football players can handle that. So we got so much to talk about this morning, and we're going to have a good round of beer getting ready for the Super Bowl later. So stay with us and give us a call at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look! Your crush is looking at you. Or you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach
likes
your
you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
stand up against our greatest threat. Did you commit to change the world?
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
It is the year of the horse. Are you ready to celebrate?
Settle up.
We start celebrating the year of the horse, but first we celebrate a Friday. Yep, another Friday, January 31. Love those Fridays around the Bill Press Show. I know you do too. That doesn't sound like a horse, does it?
We also have a horse kicking around in there somewhere.
Do we have a horse kicking around in there?
There it is.
There
we brought that horse in special
there
day,
we go.
damn it. I mean, you know how hard it was to get that thing up here, the elevator?
We had those geese around. We had those guys. Oh, no, that's not the geese. That's the horse.
I had to get the geese out of here for the horse. I mean, you don't want to spook the horse.
That's right.
God.
Hey, happy Friday, everybody. What do you say? Here we are on your local progressive talk radio station. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. You're looking good today. And coming to you live also on Free Speech TV all around the country. If you got a satellite dish, go to the Dish Network or DirecTV. You've got us. And our video stream kicking out there all around the world. We love it on TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. On this Friday, lots and lots coming up. President Obama back in town today. So we'll have another briefing at the White House today. And our entire team here in place this morning. Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy. Hello, guys.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Big weekend plans. Just in the way. It's
It's
in my shot. It's in my shot. I don't want that.
It's a big game going on this weekend, I hear.
Right?
That's what I hear. Yeah, that's what I hear. Right. Okay. My money's on the Seahawks.
Yeah?
Or my heart's on the Seahawks.
I think
I'm a West Coast guy.
I'm pulling for Seahawks.
Are you?
I'm
Also?
pulling for
Yeah.
Seahawks.
Alicia Cruz, she's around here somewhere, but she's ready to take your calls at 866-55-PRESS. She hears the phone ring, she'll run and jump on it. And Cyprian Bolding, still celebrating his birthday. No dance today, Cyprian. Huh?
No dance today. No, he hurt himself yesterday.
He did.
He hurt himself dancing.
He's still
He came wobbling in this morning. He didn't look so good.
Videographers, Cyprian Bolding. But by the way, so the year of the horse, I saw, this is, the Chinese New Year, and I don't know why they name it always after an animal. You're the rabbit or you're the snake or something. This is the year of the horse. But they have this tradition. Everybody goes home to their native village in China. And there were like 100 gazillion people. I saw this thing with Seth Doan on CBS News last night. You can't, but it's like, because so many people live in the big cities now, right? But they come from these native villages. But the tradition is they all have to go home and have New Year's dinner in their native village. Well, it's like this massive exodus. You cannot get on a train. You can't get on a plane. It's just people, and they're like lottery tickets to get a ticket on the train. That's how they sell tickets
I
on the
actually
train.
kind of like that notion, but when you're dealing with something
they had
of that magnitude,
soldiers at the train station just to keep people in lines to get on the train, and even like standing like this. I saw this one woman. All she could get out of the lottery was a ticket to stand alongside but they tell you where to stand. And she had to stand alongside the door to the restroom. And somebody else might stand alongside this. I mean, it's insane.
Wow.
But and they don't stay that long. They'll go home, have a dinner, and next morning they're back. Yeah. So it's like this entire population of China is on the move.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. It's an incredible story. They're so screwed up.
But nobody took
There you go. There's that damn horse again.
I know.
I was gonna say, I think it's kind of a sweet idea to go back to your homeland and celebrate, like you said, when it's the entire country.
Yeah. It's like
logistically that could be.
It's sort of like you're not a real authentic or patriotic resident of China. I don't know what the right words. Chinese citizen.
Sure.
Right. Unless you celebrate Thanksgiving with your family.
Huh.
Right. Now, in this country, a lot of people travel at Thanksgiving time, right? But it's not like you're blackballed if you don't.
Right. It's not mandatory.
Yeah.
Right.
You lose your citizenship if you don't. One other thing, Nancy Pelosi was last night on The Daily Show, and Jon Stewart was giving her, as the number 2 person, most powerful in the House, and former speaker, kind of a hard time about the Affordable Care Act. Why couldn't you guys get it right? I think it's worth pointing out that Congress passed it. Nancy got it right in getting the votes to get it out of the House when she was still Speaker. But then it was the job of the administration. It was the president's job and Kathleen Sebelius's job to get it right and to launch it and to get the website right. So Jon Stewart, I think, gives Nancy a little bit too much of a hard time here, but here's how it went.
We are going to set up a healthcare website that is an exchange. People are going to come to it. Right. Why is it so hard to get a company to execute that competently?
I don't know. And as one who works very hard. No, and that's my question.
Well, let me get the House Minority Leader here. I can ask her. Hold on. Wait, what do you mean you don't know? Well, how do you not know?
Well, it's not my responsibility.
Yeah, how does she not know? It wasn't her job. I don't know.
Right.
Do you know?
No, I don't know.
Nobody knows except those dumbbells who did it. And I've heard a lot of people ask that question. With all these, remember we talked about it. I said, get Amazon. They should have just subcontracted with Amazon or ProFlowers or name it, right? Sherry's Berries to do the job. Cowgirl Creamery. They know how to do it. Any of these online sales, big sales operations. And so why didn't they? Who knows why they didn't? There are lots of companies out there they could have hired.
Sure.
Why didn't they? I don't know. Neither is Nancy Pelosi. She's not supposed to know. But they were supposed to get it right. All right, what a big day today. Susan Page joining us every Friday, as she does, from USA Today. We'll have reporters in from BuzzFeed, Media Matters, National Journal, and then we round up the show today by sampling beers just to get ready for the big Super Bowl party, because you can't go in unless you've done a little, preparation for the Super Bowl party.
That's right.
So we're going to do that as a public service today. And MSNBC has apologized to the Republican National Committee. Why? But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news, but I have some sad news. The owl that was here in Washington, D.C., the snowy owl, it had taken up residence outside the Washington Post offices at the end of last week.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful white snowy owl. Well, it got hit by a bus downtown yesterday.
No.
It's dangerous downtown.
It's very dangerous downtown.
Especially
good news,
for snowy
good news.
owls.
It's alive.
Yeah, at the
being
zoo.
Treated at the zoo. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. It has a head injury. They expected to make a recovery, but this is why we can't have nice things.
Well, look, my advice is snowy owls, stay the hell where you belong.
That's right.
You belong up in the Arctic,
That's right.
In Canada or beyond.
Yeah. Football players at Northwestern University are seeking to join a labor union. They want to be the first union to represent college athletes, the College Athletes Players Association. The president of the National College Players Association announced the formation of the related union this week, filing a petition with the regional office of the National Labor Relations Board with the backing of the United Steelworkers Union. The president says he's gotten signatures of support from several Northwestern football players, so we could see a unionized college football team.
I love that. And Leo Gerard, President of Steelworkers Union, our guest on the show yesterday.
That's right.
Yeah.
The image of the Super Bowl is this weekend. Well, federal authorities and the NFL have joined up to seize $21.6 million worth of fake Super Bowl jerseys, hats, and other items that are counterfeit. They're very, very, very protective of the Super Bowl brand, if you haven't noticed. So if you're someone doing a knockoff or something that's not licensed, they will come after you. Authorities say buyers only get about 10% price break and wind up with poor quality fake goods.
You know what?
As opposed to poor quality legitimate goods.
Yeah.
That they don't
all of those like scarf and hat and gloves rack around Times Square, those street vendors, you know they must be full of Super Bowl crap.
Oh, yeah.
Right now.
Oh,
I didn't see it last weekend, but this weekend.
I'm sure it
is.
And none of it
And
licensed.
all this week. Right,
None of it
exactly.
licensed.
Yeah. All right, good luck with that. Thank you, Peter. Yes, indeed. Let's talk about this really bothers me because, I have a fond spot in my heart for MSNBC because I worked there for several years and still do a lot of on-air stuff there. And I know Phil Griffin very well, the president of MSNBC. But I think they made a colossal mistake by apologizing yesterday to Reince Priebus, the chair of the Republican National Committee. I don't see why they felt compelled to apologize. What do you think? 866-55-PRESS. Now, let me just tell you what the thing is all about, okay? It's about Cheerios. All right. Now, that does sound kind of silly.
It's about breakfast cereal.
It's about breakfast cereal.
You might be eating some Cheerios right now, and here's a story along with
it. Let's start back at the beginning. Last May, Cheerios came out with a beautiful, beautiful little commercial about it's a family, and it happens to be so this little girl asks her mommy, "Mommy, is it true that Cheerios are good for your heart?" And mommy says, "Well, basically, yes." And the girl said, "Well," the little girl says, "Well, that's good." So she goes then and takes some Cheerios. Daddy's taking a nap on the couch, and she puts some Cheerios over Daddy's heart,
all over
Daddy's shirt. And then he wakes up and he's got all these Cheerios all over him, and it's so cute. And then the thing, that's it. It's a 30-second commercial for Cheerios. Here's the problem for some people: Daddy is black and Mommy is white. It's a biracial couple. And the right-wingers went nuts over this. This is last May, 2013. And they raised so much fuss, so many ugly, ugly, racist comments. How dare you show, a biracial couple. That's not the words that they used on the air. That the Cheerios just shut down their whole operation, wouldn't take any more comments, and basically ran away from it. Well, they're back now with the same couple, the same three actors, the little girl and the mommy and the daddy, with a commercial for the Super Bowl. Now, this is what you see. We're going to play the commercial for you. But the father, they're all standing at the breakfast table. The little girl's sitting there, the father's sitting there, the mommy's standing alongside of it. And he says, here's our family. And each time he mentions a member of the family, he puts a Cheerio, puts one Cheerio for daddy, one Cheerio for mommy. Now you'll hear the rest of it. So think of that, the daddy talking to the little girl.
Hey, Gracie. You know how our family has daddy?
Daddy, that's one Cheerio.
And mommy?
Another one.
And me.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Another one.
Pretty soon.
And another one.
You're going to have a baby brother.
Oh. And then you see the mommy's fat little belly.
A puppy.
And she puts one in for a puppy.
Deal.
It's a beautiful commercial, and it ends with the word love, okay? Now, one of the editors at MSNBC tweeted out, knowing what happened last May, he said this tweet: "Maybe the right wing will hate it, but everybody else will go, aww, the adorable new Cheerios ad with a biracial family." That tweet went out. The chair of the Republican National Committee, Reince Priebus, said this is an attack on all Republicans. This is an attack on all conservatives. and he demands that MSNBC apologize, or else he's going to ask Republicans to boycott MSNBC. He told about that on Sean Hannity last night.
First thing in the morning, I called Mr. Griffin, left a message, sent him a letter saying that we were not going to allow any of our surrogates or myself and all of the other world of Republican surrogates on their show until they, one, apologized, and number two, did something of some corrective action on their shows to take some action. Now, to his credit, Mr. Griffin, to his credit, pretty quickly, number one, publicly apologized, and he also took corrective action and some administrative action on his staff.
So, Phil Griffin apologized. He called Reince Priebus and apologized again, and he fired the guy who sent out the tweet, the overnight editor. We don't know the name of that person. Why? Why do you think? I mean, here's what gets me about this. Number one, this tweet, as far as I'm concerned, is correct. The right wing did hate it. We know that. In May, we saw the comments. It was a big story then. The same people who hated that one are going to hate this one. I'm going to read the tweet again. Maybe the right wing will hate it, but everyone else will go, "Aww." The adorable new Cheerios ad with biracial family. Now, that's number one. Number two, notice it doesn't mention Republicans at all. It doesn't mention maybe Republicans will hate it. Maybe Reince Priebus will hate it. So what the hell is Reince Priebus jumping up here? Is he saying that all Republicans were right-wingers and that the Republican Party is the party of right-wingers? That may be true, but I mean that's not what this tweet says. So why would MSNBC have to apologize to Reince Priebus and the Republican Party? It does nothing about the Republican Party. And number three, so this big threat. He's going to tell Republicans not to watch MSNBC. Oh, boy, that's really going to hurt MSNBC because probably 3/4 of their audience are Republicans, right? And conservatives, all those right-wingers, yeah, they watch Rachel, they watch Ed, right? Al Sharpton, yeah, he's got a lot of Republicans watching. This is crazy. I mean, here's what gets me about liberals and progressives. We're too soft, we're too weak, we're too wimpy. We run for the hills all the time. Man, do you think Fox, I've heard a lot worse from people on Fox News, on the air on Fox News. Do you think Roger Ailes ever apologized for that? Why? Why do we have to be such weak-kneed, jelly-bellied liberals? 866-55-PRESS drives me crazy. Should MSNBC have apologized for that tweet about the Cheerios commercial? I say, hell no. What do you say? 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine.
Virginia Tech.
Tucson.
Aurora.
Fort Hood. Oak Creek.
Newtown.
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 How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
Enough.
Enough. Enough.
Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
This is the Bill Press Show.
27 minutes after the hour, NBC has apologized to Reince Priebus, even though they said nothing at all about Republicans in the tweet. In a tweet sent out about the new Cheerios commercial, Phil Griffin, president of MSNBC, felt compelled to apologize because Reince Priebus whined about it. Peter?
We're on Twitter at BP Show, The middle class guy on Twitter says MSNBC always feels compelled to be apologetic towards the nut jobs on the right. And Mama for Obama weighing in says, as my grandmother says, a hit dog will holler. Reince took that tweet awfully personally.
All right. Chris up in New York. Hello, Chris. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Bill. Thanks for taking my
Glad
call.
you're there.
I find it very hypocritical because Reince Priebus should call his own party out. You have Sarah Palin, who called the president, used the term chuck and jive. You have Newt Gingrich calling him the food stamp president.
Yep.
And as you said, you have all these Republicans who are just racially tinged against the president. It's totally unfair.
Yeah, I mean, look at the fact look at the fact that these right-wingers still, a lot of them don't accept Barack Obama as a legitimate president. Tell me that's not racist. Of course it is. And, you know, I think Reince Priebus is saying, hey, if you talk about right-wingers and racists, you're talking about Republicans. How dare you talk about us that way?
This
who they are,
is
baby.
the Bill Press Show.
Coming up.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting him in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Here we go again, 34 minutes after the hour now. So we're talking about this really very heartwarming, adorable little Cheerios commercial all set for the Super Bowl. And what they've done is bring back the same actors, a white woman, a black man, and looks like a little biracial girl, and as a family, the same ones that appeared in a Cheerios commercial last May, which prompted just an outpouring of ugly, racist comments, the worst vile language you can imagine. But Cheerios is coming back with that, and somebody at MSNBC just put out a tweet saying, again, I want to read it again. Do tell me what's wrong with this. Quote, maybe the right wing will hate it. And again, it doesn't say all Republicans. It doesn't say the Republican National Committee. It says maybe the right wing will hate it, but everybody else will go, oh. That's what I said when I saw it. The adorable new Cheerios ad with a biracial family. Reince Priebus says that's an attack on the Republican Party. We will not let any Republicans watch MSNBC or go on MSNBC unless you apologize. And guess what? The president of MSNBC apologized and fired the guy who sent out the tweet. Why? Let's go right to the phones here. I think it was a big mistake. And I hate to see liberals, progressives cave in every time a freaking Republican whines. Faustin, I guess it is, up in Baltimore. Hey, Faustin, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, what's up?
First, I'd like to say you guys are great. I love your show.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. We love Baltimore, too. Baltimore.
Holy cow. All the way up in Baltimore.
I couldn't agree with you more, Bill. I think this guy that got fired should sue. I mean, his freedom of speech has been abridged here. And we are at war with the right wing. I mean, all Americans everywhere are at war with the right wing. And if they didn't like that little thing, that's too bad, you know.
Yeah, it comes down to like calling, what's his name, Richard Sherman, right? You know, a thug. And as he pointed out, you know what that word thug means for people who are using it, right? So exactly. I mean, on the other side, you hear all this ugly language, right? There's nothing ugly about this tweet, right? And again, it's not an attack on all.
And it is absolutely true. The right wing will hate it, I guarantee you.
They will, and we know because last May when they showed the same couple, the same family, that's how they reacted. So
exactly.
I think
he did not tell a lie. He told the truth, and I think he ought to sue MSNBC.
All right, you got it, Faustin. Good for hearing from you, man. Thanks for being with us every morning. Here we go. Our buddy Ike down in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh,
hello,
God.
Ike. Have you still up to about 6 inches of snow down there?
Oh no, that entire quarter-inch snow is gone. I can finally get out of the house after 2 days.
Oh man, Ike. All right, good. We knew you had cabin fever down there.
They finally opened the bridge. You know, we're good. And you know, when it comes down to it, the president of MSNBC, tell him to borrow Ed's cojones because he obviously doesn't have them. You know, and tell these people where to go. And by the way, when Cheerios comes out with a same-sex couple, I guess the Republicans' heads are going to explode. And I've got a quick message for Mr. Ogburn. Flossie May said she appreciated that care package of beef jerky, skull, and that antibiotic cream.
Yeah. No, good. I know how to treat a woman. You know that, right?
Yeah, she said she knew you'd come through because, you know, it got pretty rough living outdoors in that weather.
That Kenmore box didn't provide enough cover, huh?
I got to tell you, Ike has got Peter Ogbur's number, man. And here comes, here we go, from one of our favorites to another favorite, Joey from Chicago. Hey, Joey, how you doing? So what do you think about this apology, Joey?
I can't believe this guy apologized. As much as I dislike the Republicans and Reince Priebus, I cannot respect this Mr. Griffin of MSNBC. I cannot believe anybody would work for this man, and I think the liberals should boycott MSNBC and really show them who has the power at that network. I am about sick of this crap. How can anybody even marry this coward? I don't believe this.
Joe, I got to say, I don't want to be too hard on Phil Griffin because I've worked for him. I like him. He's a friend of mine. I just think in this case he made a mistake, and I just hate to see it. I think, we react to any criticism like that. I mean, so I'd say if Reince Priebus is, if he's, if I were there and he said, we're not going to let any Republican, we're going to tell Republicans to boycott MSNBC, I'd laugh at his face. I'd say, yeah, how bad do you think that's going to hurt our ratings?
Right.
Oh, yeah. No. We know where the right wingers are every night. They're not on CNN and they're not on MSNBC watching. No. To me, it's like sometimes I get so frustrated with President Obama because he spends too much time being nice to these Republicans. I think we generally, as liberals and progressives, tend too often to want to be nice guys. And we all know what happens to nice guys. And I hate to see it when we just bend over. Kevin, calling from Stratford, Connecticut. Kevin.
Good morning again, Bill. How are you?
Good morning. Good to talk to you again. What's up?
Well, I was thinking about this, and I think a lot of people always forget who owns MSNBC. It's owned by Comcast, and they are about as right-wing a company as I know. And, so they don't want to piss off their corporate people because they're all right-wingers. They may make money off the left, but that's about it.
Yeah, Kevin, you may be onto something. That may be where the pressure came from to Phil Griffin. I don't know, but it may, the plausible theory to me. Sure, and you're right about who the owners are, and you're right about what they care about, which is the bottom line, right?
Yeah, well, pissing off the right wing isn't going to help their bottom line either.
Yeah, I don't think apologizing to the right wing is going to help it either. But you might have your finger on exactly what's behind this whole thing, Kevin. I don't know. Tom, I just don't like it. And I just hate to see liberals. I think it makes liberals look weak to apologize to Reince Priebus. I don't think this guy is such an effective Republican national chair anyhow. Haley Barbour was my favorite Republican chair. I mean, he was a good chair. Ed Gillespie was a good chair, right? Reince Priebus?
He's in the business of promoting himself.
He is. A business of promoting himself and whining. He whines about everything. Tom, out in Springfield, Illinois. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Bill. I'm really getting fed up with MSNBC. If you look at the history, Ed Schultz had to apologize to Laura Ingraham. Melissa Harris Perry had to apologize to Mitt Romney. And Martin Bashir's gone for saying what he thought. I mean, get a spine. Come on.
Oh, the trail of apologies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hadn't thought about that. Right. Yeah. I wonder how many. Has anybody on Fox ever apologized for anything?
Not once.
I'm just trying to.
Ever apologize.
I hate to say not one, but I'm just trying to think. Peter, do you?
I'm trying to think. I can't think of one off the top of my head now.
And some of the stuff that Sarah Palin, who works for Fox, has said about Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Right? Palling around with traitors and all that stuff. Do you think terrorists? Do you think she took any of that stuff back? Hell no. Melvin, South Bend, Indiana. Melvin, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Good morning, team.
Good morning,
I thought I'd just comment on Phil Griffin. Of course, he is weak. He has bowed down to the pressure from Revis Peevis. And, of course, he allowed Joe Scarborough to never say President Barack Obama. It's always as if Joe's talking to one of his colleagues, Barack Obama, Barack Obama. Never does he respect the presidency, so maybe he ought to fire Joe.
Well, I wouldn't agree with that. But anyhow, Melvin, I think the point is, when we are, and appreciate hearing from you again.
Revis Peevis.
Revis Peevis is the best line of the day. Yeah. Look, I say, let's just be, what? Let's be proud of who we are. That's all. And don't apologize for being who we are. And when I read this tweet, maybe the right wing will hate it, but everybody else will go, oh, that is a God's honest truth. That commercial is a great commercial. It's going to be everybody with any sense of decency is going to see it and love it and not even care whether that it's a biracial couple, but the right-wingers will go absolutely nuts this time, just like they did in May. And that's the God's honest truth. And we'll be back with Susan Page from USA Today.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is possible to read the history of this country as one long struggle to extend the liberties established in our Constitution to everyone in America. In other words, who, according to our laws and culture, gets to be considered a person? The law creates legal personhood, and movements create law and change culture. So, how have the courts passed laws to shape our culture? That history goes way back before Citizens United. 1819, Dartmouth College versus Woodward, Supreme Court case, turned a corporate charter from a government-granted charter to a contract. This ruling gave corporations standing within the Constitution. 1886, Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad. Though the court did not rule on corporate personhood, the decision was subsequently cited as a precedent to hold that a private corporation is entitled to the same 14th Amendment rights of due process and equal protection as human beings. This makes it impossible for us to make laws that treat local businesses any differently than giant multinational corporations, even if their business practices are deemed to be harmful to workers, the environment and communities, or if they have a history of violating the law. Hale versus Henkel, 1906. The court granted corporations the Fourth Amendment search and seizure protection. Dodge versus Ford Motor Company, 1919. The Michigan Supreme Court says the business corporation is organized and carried on primarily for the profit of the stockholders. Stockholder primacy is established. The purpose of the corporation, according to the court, is no longer to serve the public good, as it had been. It is now to maximize profit for shareholders above all else. Pennsylvania Coal Company versus Mahon, 1922. Corporations get the Fifth Amendment takings clause, meaning if you pass a regulation that impacts a corporation's ability to make a profit, that is deemed a taking, and they can sue for the right to future profits lost. This creates a chilling effect, and local and state governments become much more hesitant to pass laws in the public interest for fear that corporations can claim loss of potential profits that cities and states will be on the hook to pay. Buckley versus Vallejo, 1976. The Supreme Court rules that spending money to influence elections is protected under the First Amendment, in effect saying that money is speech. Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, 2010.
Today, the Supreme Court of Chief Justice John Roberts declared that because of the alchemy of its 19th century predecessors in deciding that corporations had all the rights of people, any restrictions on how these corporate beings spend their money on political advertising are unconstitutional.
The court's ruling threatens to undermine the integrity of elected institutions across the nation. It's a rejection of the common sense of the American people.
Bill Press Show.
Hey, you bet it is. 12 minutes now before the top of the hour on this Friday morning. Going into Super Bowl weekend. Can you believe it? I heard there's a huge Super Bowl party, Peter, over in Georgetown. I'm not going to give the I'm not going to give the address on the air, but I think if anybody just goes over to Georgetown in Washington, they'll find the crowd. They'll just follow the crowd to Susan Page's house. She and Carl having a big party this weekend. What time's it start again, Susan?
I'm not telling.
What can I bring?
Don't come.
Don't come, she said. Hi, Susan. How are you?
I'm great, Bill. How are you doing?
All right. So the party started Tuesday night. The president, with all the big talk, we make such a big deal out of the State of the Union here in Washington. I don't know if anybody else considers it such a big deal. But did the president deliver, get his message across, and get his agenda going? What do you think?
Well, if you talk about style, I thought he was funnier than usual. He talked kind of faster. He had a lot of energy. So on that, I think
he kept that energy up the whole time too.
Yeah,
yeah.
But if you talk about substance, pretty limited agenda. Kind of a different tone, I thought, than its previous States of the Union. Just more, here's realistically what I can do, which is just smaller bore stuff than has marked his presidency up to this point.
Small ball kind of stuff.
Small ball, yeah.
Did And this, the threat, if you will, or the warning, or whatever, that determination I'd like to work with you, but if you're not going to come and work with me, then I'll use executive orders. Other presidents have done that too, right? I don't know that they've done it in a defiant mode like that.
And, there are some executive orders that have been really consequential. The Emancipation Proclamation,
for example,
was an executive order. The desegregation of the U.S. military by Harry Truman by executive order. But by and large, there are real limits to what you can do in our system just by executive order. You can raise the minimum wage for new federal contract employees, which are over time maybe a couple 100,000 people. You can't do that for the 17 million Americans who would be affected if the Congress raised the minimum wage for everybody.
Right. What I find sometimes with President Obama is, so he'll give a really good speech and put out an agenda, whatever it is, and then you sort of don't hear about it again. Now, he has been on the road for the last 2 days, taking that message of economic opportunity, to Pittsburgh and to Milwaukee and to Nashville. Do you think he'll continue to do that?
Well, I think he'll continue to travel and talk about things. For one thing, you get a bigger ride in local press than the national press is giving you these days for events like that. But you do see, and this is the classic problems for second-term presidents, trouble breaking through, people paying attention. The lowest ratings for the State of the Union this time since 2000, which was another lame-term president. I think people have made up their minds. They've seen a lot of this, whoever the president is, after 6 years, and they're about ready to turn their attention to Hillary Clinton and Rand Paul and Ted Cruz and the people who are looking to succeed him.
We have a collective case of ADD, don't you think?
It's true.
I mean, seriously, I've always felt that.
I completely agree. Did we always, or is this new?
I think it's gotten worse, for sure. I really do. I think the social media has a lot to do with that. You know?
I can't talk now. I've got to go tweet.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I was intrigued by a survey that you did this year about people's reactions, this week rather, people's reactions to the ending wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Tell us about it.
Well, we just put a couple questions on our latest poll on attitudes toward these two wars. Here's what surprised us. People have decided, Americans have decided, a majority, that in each case, these wars did not achieve the U.S. goals for them. And that's a switch, that's a change in opinion. When we, about 2 years ago, when the final U.S. troops were being pulled out of Iraq, most Americans thought we had achieved our goals there. They look at what's happening there now, and they say, wow, the really big problems there, sectarian violence, the rise of al-Qaeda-linked fighters. And one of the experts I talked to said that politicians have stopped talking about these wars. Americans are still paying attention to them, and in a way that makes them more discouraged about what the outcome of these wars will be.
But isn't it astounding and sad to think about what these wars cost in terms of lives lost, in terms of these people who have these horrific injuries that they're going to be living with the rest of their lives, and in terms of American dollars, both of those wars, and the American people say it wasn't worth it, right? We didn't get anything out of it.
And, Americans, I think, are really acutely aware that what was the biggest applause line of the night Tuesday? It was when President Obama paid tribute to Corey Rimsberg, the Army Ranger who was so grievously wounded on his 10th tour of duty in Afghanistan.
Right.
I mean, that was a moment. There aren't many moments anymore where the Congress is united, the country seems united. That was a moment when I think we were.
Yeah, and we see now Iraq is falling apart. I mean, Hamid Karzai basically say, get out of here, right? And it looks like Afghanistan's going to be back to the tribal state it was, with no strong central government after we leave. So again, looking back, we're all going to have to say, why did we do this? What did we get out of it, right?
Yeah. Now, we did find that most Americans do continue to think that going to war in Afghanistan was the right decision. In the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, where the planners had found safe harbor, but they don't feel that way about Iraq. Most Americans think that was a wrong decision from the start.
And in Afghanistan, I think if we had just gone in, accomplished the mission, and gotten out, that could have been done. It was done. That getting rid of the Taliban was done within a couple of weeks, right? And then it has dragged on for 10 years. Yeah. Unbelievable. That was a very important survey. Well, Susan, wherever you are celebrating the Super Bowl weekend.
It's an undisclosed location.
Okay. You and Dick Cheney in the bunker. Have a great weekend.
Hey, you too.
I'll see you next week. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Susan Page from U.S. Go, Chief.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Racing dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, we'll talk Super Bowl at the top of the next hour, and then from Media Matters, Jeremy Holden coming up.
Bill, 2016 is literally days away.
Oh, no, it's not.
Days away.
Who says?
So ABC News, Washington Post did a poll on frontrunners for the Democrats.
Stop it.
Frontrunners for Republicans.
Stop it.
I know you're
Stop
dying
it.
to hear
I
this.
hate it. No.
The frontrunner for the Republicans is Paul Ryan.
Oh,
Who
get
a
outta
slim
here.
lead over Jeb Bush.
Oh,
and
get outta
the frontrunner for Democrats is Hillary Clinton, who has 73% of Democrat support. The second place is Joe Biden with 12.
You know what? I'm not sure either Hillary or Paul Ryan are going to run or will be the
This
nominees.
is
Stop
the
talking
Bill
about
Press
2016.
Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Hey, what do you say, everybody? You've been waiting for it to get here, and here we are. It is Friday, January 31, into the big Super Bowl weekend. Good morning and welcome to the Bill Press Show as we come out to you all across this great country of ours from our studio on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., reaching out to you on Free Speech TV and on our video stream, TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. President Obama on the road again yesterday, out to Milwaukee and then down to Nashville, carrying his message of economic opportunity for all Americans. His message from the State of the Union. He once again called on Congress to act to help the middle class in this country. And if Congress doesn't act, he vowed once again to do what he can by executive order without sitting around and waiting for Congress. Big news in Washington yesterday when veteran Congressman Henry Waxman from California announced that he is going to retire, joining over a dozen other Democrats who are stepping down this year. Down south, the governor of Georgia admits that he and the mayor of Atlanta screwed up by not taking the necessary steps to get ready for that big snowstorm and by letting all government and private employees go home at the same time. And, of course, sports fans are gearing up for this big Super Bowl weekend. It's the Broncos versus the Seahawks in an open-air stadium up in northern New Jersey outside of Secaucus, where the temperature is expected to be not as bad as we thought. It's going to be somewhere around 35 or 40 degrees. I certainly think those big, bad football players can handle that. So we got so much to talk about this morning, and we're going to have a good round of beer getting ready for the Super Bowl later. So stay with us and give us a call at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look, your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Did you commit to change the world?
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
It's the year of the horse. Saddle up. Come on. There you go. See?
There you go.
You mentioned a horse? We got a horse.
He shows up.
All right.
Let me tell you how hard it was to get that damn horse up here to the third floor.
But that elevator's not very big.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
I imagine you're getting the head inside the door.
Well,
was
once you
hard
get the
to-
head, the rest is easy. You just gotta sort of like turn the head to get in, and then you're golden.
No, I think it's the horse's ass that's the hardest to deal with.
Look, the horse's ass is always right there.
We deal with a lot of them in Washington D.C. All right. Can we start all over again? Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? Here we are. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is the real thing, believe it or not. But it's a Friday, loosey-goosey here. It's the Bill Press Show coming to you live on your local progressive talk radio station and on Free Speech TV. And, of course, for those of you video streamers, we are there on TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. Great to see you this morning. It's Super Bowl weekend. That's how we're going to start off this hour, talking with Joel Anderson from BuzzFeed, who's the senior sports writer, to see what we can expect out of East Rutherford, New Jersey this weekend. The weather's going to cooperate. Sounds like it. And so that's not going to be as bad as some people feared. They won't end up playing the game on Saturday after all. So some people will be disappointed in that. Anyway, we got lots going on here and look forward to hearing from you at 866-55-PRESS. 866-55-77-377. Send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Peter, are you going back to South Carolina for the to celebrate the Year of the Horse? I mean, that's what the Chinese people do. They often go back to their native villages.
That's fascinating.
I know. So
I'm not. I'm staying right here. This reminds me of a joke for the Year of the Horse. Did you hear about the
God?
Did you hear about the horse that walked into the bar? The bartender says, "Hey, why the long face?" So
yes.
Yeah.
Did Igor Volsky tell you?
At least someone likes it.
Igor Volsky tell you that joke?
I get all my jokes from Igor. That's my Igor material.
Okay. Alicia Murphy's here as well. Hi,
Good
Alicia.
morning.
Yes, with Alicia Cruz, already busy on the phones here. 866-55-PRESS. She's checking in. I think getting ready to go see her family and Year the Horse. That's what you got to do.
That's what you got to do.
And Cyprian Balding here. Damn it.
Poor Cyprian.
This is
pounding on his desk.
This is an inside joke. That's all, folks. Here we are. Our good videographer, the whole team. Yes, and the big thing, of course, we all watch the Super Bowl only for one reason. Of course, it's to watch the ads.
Sure.
In fact, we talked last hour about one of the ads that's already making a lot of noise, and that's the Cheerios ad, a beautiful little ad, Cheerios. David Greiner from Adweek talks about just imagine how much money is on the table for these ads.
These brands are spending $4 million just to buy placement for their ad, not to mention how many, in some cases, millions they're spending to produce the ads and to pay for the celebrities. So they want to make sure they're getting every mile they possibly can out of these ads.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't it magic? That's why some of them have come out. We've already seen some of them.
This is a new thing.
The new thing because it used to be serious. I remember you'd sit and watch, but now you can watch them ahead of time. In fact, I saw one spot this morning that had like,
when is the Volkswagen commercial coming on? When is
right.
when are the new Budweisers? Like you're looking for the ones that you've already seen.
Yeah, I think it's smart to put these things out.
I hate it as a viewer because I liked seeing and really tuning in. But now I know that if I miss them, I could watch them. They're already online.
Right, you got it. So again, kick off the hour with Joel Anderson from BuzzFeed to talk Super Bowl. Jeremy Holden will be here from Media Matters a little bit later in the hour. And in the next hour, we are going to do our due diligence and the proper preparation for the Super Bowl and just break down and have a few beers here. Find out what some of the best beers are coming up for your Super Bowl party. We do that only. We would only drink this early in the morning as a public service.
That's right.
But first,
this is the Full Court
Well,
Press.
you just mentioned the Super Bowl. It's in New York this year. Actually, it's in New Jersey.
East Rutherford, New Jersey.
But
yes.
it's New York area. Well, the New York Post came out with the 10 best championship games ever hosted in New York City. Which I think is, or I should say, ever hosted in New York, not New York City.
Yeah.
So you're talking basketball. You're talking about football. Any of these things, like the greatest championship games ever held in New York. Number one on the list, the 1971 Muhammad Ali Joe Frazier heavyweight fight.
Of course,
yeah,
right.
which is legendary. That I think is easily number one. Number two was a 1958 championship game between the Colts and the Giants. It was the NFL's first sudden death overtime game. And number three, the 1970 NBA Finals where the Knicks beat the Lakers 113-77.
So does this count as a New York game?
This counts as a New York game.
It does?
Well, it's New York.
That's not what Chris Christie says.
Yeah, I know Chris Christie didn't say that. But yes, this is considered a New York game. This I'm conflicted about. Olive Garden, not known for their good cuisine, their good food. It's the Italian chain. They have set up a very special date for parents, February 7th. If you would like to eat at an Olive Garden on February 7th and you have children, they have set up free babysitting at a local My Gym location. You could drop your children off. They can play there as long as you come in with a receipt from Olive Garden later on. So they're taking care of the tab. They're giving you free babysitting.
What's wrong with that?
It's Olive Garden.
Is there a time limit involved?
It's Olive Garden. I mean, it's not the best food, so you have to punish yourself by going and eating at an Olive Garden, but they'll give you free babysitting.
Sounds like I take it rather than.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'd
rather do that than have
the
kids raising hell at the table.
Exactly. I give them some credit. I just don't know if I want to eat there. And we know that a lot of schools have banned children from having cell phones on school property.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing new. But a South Florida high school is now saying parents cannot come onto the property with headsets or hands-free devices or cell phones because the parents are too distracted and not paying attention to their children. They're showing up, they're texting, they're tweeting, they're Facebooking, and they're not paying attention to what's actually going on at school. So this school is considering banning even parents having school cell phones on school property.
Lead by example.
I like that.
All right, there you go. 13 minutes after the hour. Yep, the big weekend. Joel Anderson, senior sports writer for BuzzFeed, joins us on our newsline this morning. Hey, Joel, how are you?
Hey, good morning. How you guys doing?
All right, so listen, all this talk about, man, it's going to be so cold, there's going to be so much snow on the field, and we might even have to play this game on Saturday or maybe on Monday or Tuesday. It looks like it's going to be okay, right, weather-wise?
No, I mean, I'm from the South. This is my first Northeast winter, and I'll even say that Sunday is not going to be so bad. It'll probably be, upper 30s, possibly lower 40s.
Yeah.
It'll be cloudy. So, it's going to be a game where weather really shouldn't affect it that much.
Right. And so given the fact that we've been talking a lot about this, given the fact you watching these games on television is so great these days, particularly with HD and all the new shots and everything. How are they doing selling tickets? Do people still want to be in that stadium? What do you hear?
Well, earlier in the week, they were apparently having some trouble on the secondary market. There was, from what I understand, as many as about 10,000 tickets that were still available on the secondary market. The prices were coming down. So if you if you bought your tickets 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, or even earlier, then you probably didn't get such a great deal. But from what I understand, it seems like now that the game's going to get sold out. I mean, it is still the Super Bowl, even if you have to be bundled up.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to get your thoughts on the overall idea of stadiums having a hard time filling up these days. I think that it would be smart for the next generation of stadiums to just build smaller, more high-tech stadiums, because so many people would just rather watch it on TV now than deal with the hassle of going to an NFL game, because TV has just gotten so much better and the fan experience has gotten so much worse.
Well, that's a thought that you hear more and more over the years. Especially for football, because the experience, like you said, experience of watching at home is so much better. You get instant replay. You don't have to spend as much money on food. You don't have to be subject to the elements. Mm-hmm. And, I actually do think that, going forward, it'd be really interesting, instead of doing what the Cowboys did, which is building, a huge, nearly 100,000-seat monument in the middle of nowhere, that you may, it might be better for franchises to consider the smaller 40,000, 50,000-seat venue and, pay more attention to the TV-paying fans. But, if you can squeeze as much money out of people as possible, why not? I mean, it doesn't look like, certainly given what the Cowboys have done, what the Jets and the Giants have done with their new stadiums, that they're going in that direction. But, as TV ratings continue to rise and tickets become harder to sell, you may see, some franchises or some smart franchise owner think about going in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Joel Anderson's with us from BuzzFeed, senior sports writer. You can follow his work and all of our good friends at BuzzFeed at BuzzFeed.com. So, Joel, let's talk about the game itself. Do you think these two teams are pretty well balanced? And where's the good money on Sunday?
Well, the Broncos are a slight favorite, but I mean, I say slight because these two teams are extremely evenly matched. And one thing about it that you don't hear so many people talk about. This is possibly one of the best offenses of all time against one of the best defenses of all time. By which I mean the Broncos' offense, which set a record for points, and the Seahawks, which led the league in fewest points allowed. And if you sort of evaluate them in the context of history, they're probably one of the 10 best defenses in league history.
Wow.
It's that classic saying, offense wins games, defense wins championships. And I know Seattle fans are sort of banking on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think, Richard Sherman sort of catapulted himself into the national consciousness a couple of weeks ago, saying he was the best cornerback in football. Well, the thing about it is that he's not lying. But in addition to that, you're talking about a Seahawks secondary that's probably, it's not even probably, it is the best defense, it's the best defensive secondary in the game, and one of the best of the past few years. The problem is that they'll be playing against Peyton Manning, who, at least in my estimation, is, if he's not the greatest quarterback in league history, he's one of the top 5.
He might have had the greatest season for a quarterback ever.
No, I was just going to ask you, so is Collins up to holding his own against Peyton Manning?
Sherman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean,
the Seahawks quarterback is...
Oh, Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. I'm sorry, Russell Wilson. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was almost saying, well, you think it's Kerry Collins? But no, no, absolutely. I mean, this is, the matchup that anybody would pay to see. I mean, Richard Sherman is a big physical guy, very smart. He's not overly fast, but that's not really a concern against the Broncos, who are big, full of, really big receivers that sort of, play physical themselves. So, they're certainly the equal of each other. In no way is Peyton Manning going to be running up and down the field on these guys. You're going to see a really good game. Usually when offenses play against defenses of this caliber, you see the offense slightly underperform, so that will be, that's to be expected. But Peyton is going to get his shots. He's going to get his points on Sunday.
And I wonder, does it make any difference? I mean, the Broncos won on their home turf, and the Seahawks won on their home turf, right? Now, neither one is playing at home. Neither one has that advantage. So does that make it a fairer game, a more level playing field, if you will?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. One thing about the Seahawks, though, is that they're almost unbeatable at home. They lost one game this year, and they have a pretty
LOB,
crazy record.
Isn't that what they call it, right?
LOB. Yeah, Leisure to Boom. Leisure to Boom. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't believe Russell Wilson I think he's maybe lost one home start in his career.
Yeah.
So the Seahawks are a different team away from their stadium. And the Broncos, obviously, they perform very well at home too. So yeah, I mean, you're going to put them on the road. You're going to put them in elements neither one of them plays with. I mean, they're both in cold weather cities, but in terms of like what New Jersey will be bringing on Sunday, that's generally not something that they see up in those parts. So yeah, it's going to be fairly evenly matched. Nobody's going to have the advantage in terms of that. So.
And you're in New York. Do you see a lot of the extra security around because of the Super Bowl?
No. What I actually see is just a lot more people around in general. Times Square is a zoo right now, and so I mean you see a lot of that. But yeah, I mean they've battened down the hatches, so to speak. I mean, you can't just move around as freely as possible, as freely as you could a week ago. But that's to be expected, right?
All right. Well, it's going to be a great weekend, great game. Let's hope, and we'll all be there, and we're going to start celebrating this morning too. A little bit later, Joel. Too bad you're not in Washington with us. We'd invite you over for a beer.
I heard about that beer, and I'm going to drink some in honor.
You can like that. You can do that.
Yeah, right. I'm going to get mine in a few minutes here before I go on to work.
Yeah,
I'm telling you about it.
It's 5 p.m. somewhere on the planet.
Yeah, so that's right. Absolutely.
All right, Joel Anderson. Good to talk to you, my friend. Senior sports writer up at BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed.com.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land. Only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we are, 25 minutes after the hour now. Jeremy Holden from Media Matters will be here for the next half hour with us. Lots to talk about, including the fact that MSNBC has apologized to the Republican National Committee for a tweet that one of the MSNBC employees sent out, which says nothing about the Republican Party, but just talks about right-wingers, and Republicans say, well, you're talking about right-wingers, you're attacking us. So we'll talk about that and more with Jeremy Holden. A couple of other topics to touch on before we move on. In Georgia, they are kind of back down in Atlanta, kind of back to normal. I think everybody's home now. Kids are home. Everybody made it home from work, even though they made it home a day, 24 hours later. Not the same day they left work, but the next day. And the governor of Georgia fell on his sword yesterday and said, look, I can't defend what we did. We just screwed up.
I think we did not respond fast enough. We did not respond in the magnitude at an earlier enough time.
Good for him, at least accepting responsibility there. And the mayor of Atlanta has as well. The weather report originally said the storm wasn't going to hit downtown Atlanta, and they sort of went by that. The weather report changed later, and they ignored it, and they got caught flat-footed, and they let everybody go at the same time and paid the price. The other thing I want to mention is, we've talked a lot about people, Democrats retiring from the House. Jim Moran from Northern Virginia, George Miller from California. And what a big hole this is going to leave in the House. Well, that's true. But the biggest hole of all yesterday with the announced retirement of Henry Waxman from Beverly Hills. He's been in the House for 40 years. I've known Henry a long time. He's a really good friend. And you talk about somebody who's made a difference. I mean, the fact that we now know how dangerous cigarettes are, and we've taken a lot of steps to discourage smoking and everything. That's Henry Waxman, who took on the tobacco industry. Henry Waxman, who really protected and expanded the Clean Air Act. Henry Waxman, who was the first to recognize the real threat of the HIV/AIDS virus and getting the proper medical help for people who are victims of HIV/AIDS. Henry Waxman, more than anybody else, is responsible for the passage of the Affordable Care Act and rounding up support for that in the House. He was a real champion, a great liberal, a great progressive. It's going to be really hard to find somebody who's as good a legislator as Henry Waxman.
This a show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the area.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
You bet it is. 33 minutes after the hour now. Happy Friday, January 31. Super Bowl weekend. How about it? Lots of big media news to talk about this Friday morning. And so we are pleased to welcome back into the studio Jeremy Holden is the research director at the great Media Matters for America, MediaMatters.org. Good morning, Jeremy. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, too. Thanks for having me.
All right. So you guys have a big new report on the Sunday talk shows and the kind of the nice representation of guests there and how much diversity we've seen. But before we get into that, I've got to ask you about the biggest media story of the day, which is that the president of MSNBC has apologized for a tweet that sent out by the overnight editor at MSNBC referring to the new the Cheerios commercial, which is going to play Sunday in the Super Bowl. This Cheerios commercial is the same family that was seen back in May 2013, talking about a nice little warm family scene featured or centered around kind of Cheerios. If we have the ad, so I just want to explain to because if you hear the ad, you have to visualize what you see on the screen, which is the father and the little girl are sitting at the breakfast table. The mother is standing alongside of the table, and the father, as he talks about the members of the family, he puts a Cheerio like in front of the little girl, saying, "Okay, now here's our family. This is me. This is mommy. Da da da." And he has a surprise announcement for the little girl. Here it is.
Hey, Gracie. You know how our family has Daddy?
One Cheerio. Mommy, another one.
And me. Yeah, that's right.
And another one.
Pretty soon, you're going to have a baby brother.
Another Cheerio. How about that? She looks, and you see the...
And a puppy.
And a puppy.
Deal.
So she puts a little Cheerio for the puppy, and you get a side shot there of mommy standing alongside the table, who's obviously pregnant. Well, that ad is the same couple, again, that appeared in an ad that Cheerios had put out last May. What sort of surprised some people is that daddy is black and mommy is white. There's a biracial couple. When they put out the first ad in May, holy hell happened with a lot of ugly, vile, racist remarks and comments, Jeremy, that came out about this ad. And Cheerios sort of backed off. And they said, okay, we're not going to take any more comments about this ad or whatever. I don't think they dropped the ad necessarily, but they certainly didn't make a big run of it. And so this MSNBC employee, knowing what happened last May, seeing the same couple coming back, tweeted out, quote, "Maybe the right wing will hate it, but everybody else will go, aww." The adorable new Cheerios ad with a biracial family. That tweet went out. Reince Priebus, the chair of the Republican Party, said, "This is terrible. This is an attack on the Republican Party. We will not let any of our Republican spokespeople appear on your network, and we will ask conservatives to boycott MSNBC." And the president of MSNBC turned around then and apologized to Reince Priebus. Now, that's what happened. Should he have apologized?
Well, look, I think that you touched on the reaction to the commercial from last May, and we've seen very recently reaction to the marriages at the Grammy ceremonies and how that was demagogued by some of the voices on the right wing. Look, the president of MSNBC made a decision to respond to the pressure. I'm not here to defend the tweet or what happened there, but it was interesting to see where Reince Priebus went last night, which was right to Sean Hannity. Yeah. For a sit-down interview on Sean Hannity's show. I'm not sure. Has Reince Priebus not heard some of the toxic things that are said on Sean Hannity's show night in and night out? It's curious that he's not as offended by the things that are said actually on air with the host that he's sitting down to have a chat with.
Well, here's one of the things that gets me. Again, the tweet is, "Maybe the right wing will hate it, but everybody else will go, oh." No, he doesn't say maybe Republicans will hate it. It's not an attack. I mean, so Reince Priebus is sort of, by his response, it seems to me, he's admitting that the Republican Party are right-wing. All of them.
Right.
I mean, he's saying, if you talk about right-wingers, you're talking about me.
Well, and this is part of a long-time strategy on the right? To create this image of this vast liberal media, behemoth.
And like they're victims.
That's right. There's this grievance industry, this victimization, and they see, again, that they can drive results. They can put pressure on a network and
obviously
drive
they
results.
Can. And isn't it sort of a laugh out loud funny, the idea that he's going to ask Republicans not to watch MSNBC?
Right.
Conservatives not to watch MSNBC? I mean, hello? How many do you think do?
And then go running to Sean Hannity's show and again see apparently no problem with the things that are actually said on Sean Hannity. We have a problem with a tweet, but we don't have a problem with the things that are actually said on Sean Hannity's show. So we're going to go
actually
there.
Said on the air.
That's right.
On Fox. And Peter and I were trying to remember this morning if we can ever remember anybody from Fox ever apologizing for anything. I can't. I mean,
I'm having a hard time with it. Just off the top of my head. Yeah.
And so then on Sean Hannity last night, Reince Priebus says, okay, so he's apologized. And then Sean Hannity says, so are you satisfied with that? And Reince Priebus says, well, that means now that MSNBC is on probation. I mean, it's like he set himself up now. He's the king, right, of the cable networks as to what you say and what you can say and what you can't say. I'll decide, Reince Priebus. I think I'm sorry. I think by apologizing, Phil Griffin has got to play right into that.
I wonder what probation looks like and how long does a probation last?
What do they have to do, right, to get off of probation?
Yeah. Is it secret? Maybe it's like secret double probation. Right. You know, I don't know what the.
No, I know. I just think the whole thing is outrageous. I hate this apology. I think it was unnecessary and just played right into their hands.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, they want. Are not going to let conservatives watch MSNBC? Fine. We're not even going to notice it. How many conservatives seriously are watching Ed Schultz or Rachel Maddow? You know, or Al Sharpton every night.
I don't know, but I'm just
silly.
I want to see. I want to see how this probation looks and when it ends. This is and what is there going to be a soft landing from the probation? I mean, this is kind of silly at this point.
It is, and so first of all, good for Cheerios for bringing that spot back and not bowing into the pressure. And as far as this tweet goes, again. Maybe the right wing will hate it, but everybody else will go, "Oh, the adorable new Cheerios ad with the biracial family." That's the truth. That is the truth. The right winger, the racist right winger, will hate it. Everybody else will like it. It's a beautiful spot. Tell us about what you found on the Sunday talk shows.
Well, we found that not much has changed on the Sunday talk shows. We're still seeing these shows, again, they set the agenda in a lot of instances for what we're going to talk about going into the next week and what types of topics we're going to talk about. And we see it dominated, again, by, largely conservative political officials, conservative opinion journalists, and predominantly by white men. One of the findings is you're actually twice as likely to run into a white man watching your Sunday TV shows than you are just going out for a walk and walking around. In terms of their representation in the overall public, it's about 31% of the overall population of this country is white men. 64% of the guests on Sunday shows are white men. Now, as a white man, this presents a lot of opportunities for me, sure, but in terms of the way that the people who are talking about these important public policy issues is a reflection of who we are as a people, it's a huge failure on the part of the people booking these Sunday shows.
Yeah, what happened to the old concept that the people you see on television should reflect the community at large?
I think that, and I think that's the big problem that these numbers kind of bear out. And I think one of the things that we'll hear from time to time is that, well, this is a reflection of what Congress looks like. This is a reflection of what newsrooms look like. This is where people in Congress and people in newsrooms sit down and hash out the issues of the day. Well, we looked at Melissa Harris Perry's show over on MSNBC, and she actually has a model of how this can work. The guests on her show are far more representative of what society looks like. And again, this isn't just an issue of how do we check off boxes in terms of a demographic representation. This is about a diversity of backgrounds, because a lot of these policy issues reflect they impact different communities in different ways. Giving these communities a seat at the table to hash out these issues is a really important thing. And it's also good business.
Yeah, but you know what a lot of it is? Lazy booking.
I think that's right. You look at your Rolodex and you look at these top 10, the 10 most booked guests. It's the same people year in and year out. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a Sunday show without John McCain?
John McCain. If it's Sunday, it's John McCain.
Yeah, that's right. And he, again...
Or Lindsey Graham.
And John McCain, for another year, was the top booked guest on the Sunday show.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter, by the way, what topic. You could be talking about bed bugs, and they would get John McCain. You know? I mean, because, first of all, he'll do any show, right, on any topic.
Yeah.
It is not like he has a particular expertise. One might think is foreign policy. He'll talk about anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Well, and we
would talk about watching paint dry.
And
listening to him is like watching paint dry.
Well, in those top 10 guests, John McCain being number one on the list, but the top 10, 9 white men, 10 men. And so, again, in 5 years, we went back and looked 5 years ago, 24% of the guests on the Sunday shows were women. Today, it's 25% of the guests. So, barely any change in 5 years. They've had 5 years to try and figure this out.
Whoa.
1 percentage bump. There's a lot more work to do.
And look how many more women, for example, are in the House and in the Senate, but you don't see that reflected on the Sunday morning talk shows.
Well, they have to book John McCain.
That's right. You need room for John McCain. All right. We'll take a quick break here. Jeremy Holden here from Media Matters. What about this MSNBC apology? Should Phil Griffin have apologized to the Republican National Committee over that comment on the Cheerios ad? And you watch the Sunday morning talk shows. What do you see? We've talked about the lack of gender diversity. How about political diversity? 866-55-PRESS. We'll be right back.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Racing dot. I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
12 minutes before the top of the hour, the state of the media. That's what we're talking about here with Jeremy Holden from Media Matters. Nobody does a better job of keeping their eye on the media, particularly the right-wing talk show host. Again, you say right wing, you know who you're talking about, man.
That's
the right
wing.
wing.
Now we know.
Now we know,
Yeah.
the right wing talk show host and radio and TV shows, and telling us all about it and setting the record straight. That's what you get every day, all day long at MediaMatters.org. Jeremy Holden, research director for Media Matters here, and we were talking about the Sunday shows. We started out talking about this MSNBC apology. Hey, Elisa, you mentioned that Reince Priebus went on Sean Hannity last night and was asked about this, and he he tells how he got this apology, if you will, out of Phil Griffin quickly.
First thing in the morning, I called Mr. Griffin, left a message, sent him a letter saying that we were not going to allow any of our surrogates or myself and all of the other world of Republican surrogates on their show until they, one, apologized, and number two, did something of some corrective action on their shows to take some action. Now, to his credit, Mr. Griffin, to his credit, pretty quickly, number one, publicly apologized, and he also took corrective action and some administrative action on his staff.
And now, Priebus went on to say that MSNBC, as we talked earlier, is on probation for now. They haven't been forgiven; they're just on probation. To me, that's such a hollow threat. It really is laugh out loud funny. How many Republicans do you see on Rachel or Ed, or particularly in prime time? Yeah, on Morning Joe, you do. There you get a balance, though.
Yeah. And what show was he talking about?
I did Morning Joe last Monday. It's...
Yeah. But what show was Reince Priebus talking about? I mean, is he going to now keep people off of Morning Joe? I mean, it was kind of a silly thing, but it's that reaction. It does tap into this grievance industry and this idea that we have this liberal press. If you actually look at the people who are on, again, going back to those Sunday shows, it's driven largely by conservative, right-leaning guests. And so they've really exploited that platform quite well, and they have a media that's willing to give them a seat at the table. Are they really going to walk away from that?
I mean, yeah. And so the Republican national chair is not happy with something he hears on MSNBC. So what?
Yeah. And not even something he heard.
I'm not happy with stuff I hear on Fox. And I'm sure Roger Ailes' opinion, if I said that, would be, so what? Right? We're doing our job. They've got their job. MSNBC's got their job. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Very quickly, because I want to get some of these calls in. On the liberal conservative balance on the Sunday shows, it's still overwhelmingly conservative balance. Conservative, right?
It is, and we see once we look into the numbers, we see some differences. It turns out in 2013, This Week did a pretty good job of having a good balance between liberal and conservative guests. Fox News off the charts. That's where conservatives go to talk to
conservatives. That's what you expect from Fox.
Meet the Press, we're still seeing a right-leaning tilt in that audience. So you go back to this RNC grievance against MSNBC, that kind of crown jewel of NBC News, Meet the Press, is still a place where conservatives have an open door and an open seat at the table.
And they'll be there next Sunday. John, calling from Minneapolis. Hey, John, what do you say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, one of the most helpful things to do is to look at ownership and to look at their advertising. Like, for instance, the New York Times, when people say the New York Times is a left-wing newspaper, I just laugh. I said, take a look and see what they're advertising. Cartier's, Saks, some of the most expensive
BP,
and whatnot. So, that says a lot about who reads the New York Times. And I read it occasionally, but I don't, I sift through because I know they're editorializing things in a certain way. And I also wanted to say even public radio, like, for instance, our local public radio, which is probably similar to NPR, if you look at the board of public radio here in Minnesota, about out of 11 or 12 seats, 3 of them come from United Health. They're all huge CEOs of big corporations.
Right. Hey, John, just got to cut you off for a quick word from Rick, but it is the corporate media. And you've talked a lot about that at Media Matters. Rick from Cincinnati. Hey, quickly, Rick, what's your point?
We're going to start grilling the spine here. Why did somebody have to get fired for? I read that tweet. I couldn't believe somebody got fired over that. Just like when President Obama fired that African American lady,
Van Jones.
Was she ever reinstated? What the world is going on with progressives so quick to apologize?
Right.
The Shirley Sherrod.
Oh, he's talking about Shirley Sherrod. Back then. No, she's not reinstated. That's right. When are we going to grow a spine? That's the question I've been asking, too, all day. Hey, Jeremy, we ran out of time here, but great work on this Sunday morning talk. Keep your, we count on you, and you always come through to keep your eye on these guys. Try to keep them honest. I know it's hard. Try to keep all of us honest. And Say hello to all of our good friends at Media Matters. Check them out, MediaMatters.org. We're there many times a day, and you should be too. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, Bill.
See you.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
In the early 20th century, the war to end all wars didn't end war at all. It stoked the fires of change. A traumatized world was ripe for change. The world was ready for modernism. Modernists wanted to forget history, or at least reinterpret it. More than just a style, modernism applied to virtually all forms of creative expression. Innovative artists like Picasso, Escher, Dali, they all started looking at their world differently. Other artists tried painting light itself. These were the Impressionists. Surrealists went a bit further. We had entered the age of the isms. Cubism, symbolism, futurism, constructivism. All these new modern ways of looking at the world blew people away. When it came to architecture, modernists were intrigued by emerging technology. Concrete, glass and steel featured heavily in their buildings. Modernists believed that they could design a better society. Ornamental indulgence was considered a frivolous waste of effort. They thought function should always dictate form, and that mankind's intelligence, creativity and capability for radical thinking should be celebrated. Take the Russian inventor Georgy Krutikov. He suggested an idea for a city held aloft by electrical currents. This at a time when there was barely enough wattage to keep the lights on. Not everything they designed was a resounding success. But you could argue modernism was the single most influential movement of the 20th century. From house music to housewares, tables and chairs to graphic design, all have been created by the aesthetics and ideas of modernism.
Hey, don't go away yet. We got 2 hours almost under our belt, but we have a big third hour coming up before we go into the big Super Bowl weekend. What do you do on the weekend while you're watching the game? You drink beer, and we're going to start this morning with a good round of beer in the next hour. Fawn Johnson will also be here from the National Journal to talk about the president's push for doing something about income inequality and what message he has taken on the road this week. You can join the conversation, have a beer with us anytime. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, what do you say at the top of the next hour from the National Journal? Fawn Johnson, and then Port City Brewery with some good beers for the weekend. President Obama today. Jobs is a focus down at the White House. He and the Vice President, after they get their daily briefing, will be meeting with a group of CEOs to talk about what they can do for helping the long-term unemployed and get them back to work and maybe get them those unemployment insurance benefits. That's going to be the president's focus. And then at 2 o'clock this afternoon, he's going to be participating in a Google Hangout session on google.com. How about that?
This is the Bill Press Show. Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
It is the year of the horse. Did you know that? And we celebrated here this morning, starting today, just to show what an international show we are. I don't know what you say other than Happy Year of the Horse, right?
That's what you say.
There you go.
There you go.
That's
we got
what you
it.
say. Sure.
That's just the magic of radio. You say horse and
Yeah.
you got one.
We got one.
All right.
Right here.
Hey, great to see you this morning. What do you say on a Friday, January 31? Super Bowl weekend starts today. Great to see you, and thank you for joining us on the Bill Press Show as we come to you live coast to coast, every great little corner of this land. We are there on your local progressive talk radio station. We are there this hour also on our video stream at TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. Thanks for joining us. Lots to talk about this hour, particularly the aftermath of the State of the Union and how the president takes his agenda around the country. To help us through that and other news of the day, Fawn Johnson, correspondent for the National Journal, covering things here on both ends of Pennsylvania Avenue. Hi, Fawn. Nice to see you again.
Good. How are you?
And a neighbor on Capitol Hill. We always have to
Yeah.
say we love the people who live close enough that they get here, even in snowstorms.
Right.
You know, they're close enough they can truck their way through. Although we've kind of just about lost our snow, and it was actually. It felt warm this morning,
be creeping
didn't it?
above freezing.
Yeah.
Perhaps. So,
right. But
my son still wears 2 coats to go to pick up the bus.
2 coats?
Yeah.
Yeah. Our regular team is here, too, this morning. Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy.
Hey.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Alicia Cruz on the phones, and Cyprian Bolding here on the video cam, keeping us looking good. Cyprian actually was not going to come in today, but then he heard we're going to be drinking some beer later. So then he thought.
He takes that very seriously. He takes it very seriously. Yeah, he's very excited. It is remarkable when you talk about the weather, how nice it feels when it's only 29 degrees outside. After it's been, 10.
Yeah.
I walked outside this morning. I had the hat and the gloves on. I said, I don't need these gloves. This is wonderful.
The sky was pink.
Yeah.
Too,
spring wear, man.
It is an appreciable difference. And the weather has improved so much that all the kids from Atlanta are finally home from school that they went to 3 days ago.
Right.
And the people who left work 2 days ago finally made it home last night.
Now, only the ones have to recover their cars that they abandoned on the freeway.
I know. I saw yesterday this whole system they had to help people find their cars. So some of them have been towed. Some were still there. Of course, they're out of gas.
Right.
So the National Guard was there to help them with gas. What a scene. Who's responsible? Well, unusual maybe for a politician. The governor stepped up yesterday and said, yeah, it's my fault.
I think we did not respond fast enough. We did not respond in the magnitude at an earlier enough time.
In a sense, if they're from the South, you want to give them a pass, right, for a snowstorm. But at the same time, they did have some warnings on this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that somebody is willing to say that this probably should have been taken care of a little easier.
But especially when they had one 2 years ago that they also got in trouble on. So, Fawn Johnson here with us for the first half hour, and then we will be.
Then you have beer.
Then we have beer. Port City Brewery.
So I am the pre-beer commentator.
Yeah. You hang around, have a beer with us.
You can have a beer. I mean, hell, it'll be 8:30. I mean, the day's practically over by then.
So that's how we start with the Super Bowl. And we'll get right to the news of the day. But first,
This is the
big
Full Court
headline.
Press.
Yes, indeed. I have a story I don't like, but it does have a happy ending. You remember last week we saw the story of the snow owl that had taken up residence outside the Washington Post.
Yep.
Beautiful white snow owl that was hanging out
Several
here in
seen
town.
in this area. They don't belong here. Some, for some reason, it's gotten so cold that they followed the cold down.
Exactly. Well, yesterday it got hit by a bus in downtown D.C. Around 15th and I Street Northwest, downtown. They got hit by a bus. Good news, it survived. It's at the, it's okay. It's all right. The owl didn't die, but they have it at the National Zoo right now being treated for head injury. They expect the owl to recover, but this is why we can't have nice things here in Washington.
Well, you can't have snow owls in Washington, but yeah.
Right.
And buses,
Watch out for those buses. They're nasty.
They are, man. They come around the corner. You get out of the way.
Bill, good news
They
if
took
you
that
were
out
on...
right to the zoo. I saw them last night.
Got it taken care of. Good news if you were on Princess Cruises Caribbean Princess. The cruise ship is back in port in Houston after...
No, it's not good news to have been on that ship.
No, it's good news that you're now off of the ship because out of the 3,000 passengers, at least 162 of them became very ill, reporting sick symptoms. According to the Centers for Disease Control, they pulled back into port in Houston. They're getting everybody off, and they're looking into what the hell happened. Just another really, really bad...
This is the second one,
This
right?
is the second one this week. This is a really bad commercial for cruising and cruise ship vacations.
Yeah, I think they need some good PR, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Better call Saul.
I have some friends who left journalism who went into emergency PR, so we're good.
There you go. There you go.
Crisis PR.
Jerry Seinfeld confirmed something that people were talking about yesterday, that there is going to be a mini Seinfeld reunion.
No.
He and Jason Alexander, who plays George Costanza, were spotted outside the iconic Tom's Diner in New York a couple of weeks ago, and people were wondering what the hell was going on. Seinfeld confirmed that there is going to be a mini reunion, but it's a secret project for a short form project, is what he called it. So all signs are pointing to a Super Bowl ad. I think you can probably expect to see a Super Bowl ad featuring the Seinfeld cast.
He did say though it's going to be longer than a minute.
Yeah. So we will see. Maybe it'll be a Super Bowl ad, and then they put some more stuff online, which is what they do for a little, small webisode situation.
But it hasn't come out yet.
Hasn't come out yet. We will see.
All right. Well, the Super Bowl, is just takes second place to the State of the Union as far as those of us who live inside the Beltway, right? That's our big Super Bowl. Got all the excitement that goes up to that speech. The president, for 65 minutes, he delivered. I thought his energy level was very, very high. Did he get his message across and accomplish anything, Fawn?
Well, it depends on, I guess, what you think his message should be. I approach the State of the Union with a fair amount of skepticism. It often is a dog and pony show, and obviously that's how it was. But, he did make the points, which he's been doing over the last week, that after the State of the Union, that he wants to have actions going on his own, that he doesn't want to wait for Congress to agree with him. And I think that's perfectly appropriate for him to do. The place where I always stop whenever I hear stuff like that is that there's only so much that a White House can actually do, aside from making speeches and trying to encourage people or businesses or whomever to do the right thing.
Right.
But I think he had some very strong points that they need to move forward on something, and there is some green shoots coming up in terms of some compromise. For the first time in several years that I can remember, we're not worried about going over a fiscal cliff with a debt ceiling or a government shutdown. To say that that's good news is a little dark in terms of the commentary of the last several years.
Now, you're right about that. There's only so much the president can do, but if you have a situation where for 3 years in a row, almost everything he has attempted has been blocked by Republicans in the House, he almost has no alternative, right? To do what he can, even though it's limited, to do it by executive order.
Sure. And
as other presidents have done, if I just...
that's exactly right. And I think he also has... what is nice to see is a consistent message coming out of the White House of a number of kind of common sense things that they would like to see regarding wages and income in the economy. So the minimum wage this is a coordinated push with Democrats on Capitol Hill to try and increase the minimum wage. it's been a little while since it's been done. There's no reason to start that conversation now. And I think what the president is doing is trying to show that he's a leader in the sense that he's going to go first. So he's going to now require federal contractors to hit that $10 an hour, which I'm sure many of them already do. But at least he's, it's kind of like if you're the doctor and you're telling people that they need to stop smoking, you also need to stop smoking.
Right. Yeah. And then he took his message on the road,
right.
which, again, we've seen other presidents do, right? Using the bully pulpit, using the power of the presidency. All fine and good. Do you think we'll see more of that?
I would imagine we would. The thing that has interested me about the president's road trips, like the one he took this last week, is that every place has its own message. So he was in Maryland at the Costco to talk about the minimum wage a couple of days ago. Then yesterday, I think he was in two places. He was in Wisconsin to talk about job training, and then he was in Tennessee to talk about education, and particularly early education.
Right, and then the other day after the Costco, he went to the steel mill,
right,
to talk about bringing manufacturing jobs back to the United States.
So the question I have is, how many times can he do this, and does he have to have a different message every single time? Because after a while, it starts to look like a laundry list, and then you're not really sure exactly what he's pushing, because at a certain point you need to make a decision as an executive or as a leader. Okay, these are the parts that we're going to push for. So I'm sure we're going to see more of him touring around, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing Vice President Biden doing the same thing. I mean, one of the things that they did last year, or maybe it was the year before, there's been this emphasis with Mrs. Biden, actually, on colleges and community colleges. And the vice president did a huge tour all around the country for the course of the spring with the same message. So I think that the question is, can the White House, with all the scrutiny that goes on the president, can the White House do some of the same things without sounding like they're banging the same drum and boring people?
The thing, I thought that we saw a side of President Obama, almost a playful and a defiant, maybe an in-your-face side of Obama that we hadn't seen before, particularly when he talked about Obamacare, healthcare, and said, okay, if you got some ideas, I'm open to them, but let's not have another 47 votes to try to repeal it, right?
Right. And I think there's that's
and he enjoyed. You could tell he enjoed saying.
Well, it was
that
almost
too.
like he'd been wanting to say it for the past 2 years, and finally got his chance. And I think the Republicans are noticing that is a knock that is starting to resonate with them, that they're only the party of no. Then the Republicans that I've talked to on Capitol Hill are actually they're a little bit in a quandary about how to get their message out, because they feel like a lot of what they have to do is come up with something counter to what the president does. But when they do that, they sound like negative Nelly, and so it's a tough road for them to navigate as well.
Now, there are a couple of things coming up. The debt ceiling,
right,
this month, we're going to have to decide again because it expires. And there are some Republicans who are saying we're just not going to do it, even though we did it automatically 19 times under Bush. We're not going to do it without getting something for it.
That's what they're saying now, but they have a very limited bargaining leverage on this one. And
the president is saying no deal, right? No ransom at all. But there have been a couple of leaks in the last day or so that Republicans are going to cave on that.
I think I think it's almost inevitable. And what I see from the Republicans is an acknowledgement that they can't let the debt ceiling not increase, but also almost like a request that perhaps their needs would be listened to, and they can come up with something that would make them at least look good. I mean, to a certain extent, it sounds like
they're not going to shut down the government again. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, even the most conservative...
It worked so well the last time.
Right. Even the most conservative Republicans on Capitol Hill, the ones who speak for the Republican Study Committee and those types, are saying, we want something, sure, and we don't think that we're going to be able to pass just a clean debt ceiling increase. But I think what they mean by that is that they want to have a negotiation. And so, fine. I mean, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. If a not clean debt ceiling increase could mean that you increase the debt ceiling and you have a resolution that you're going to look at I don't know, Trade Promotion Authority.
Now,
you do nothing.
You said something earlier about, I think, green shoots popping up or something, the phrase that you used. Well, one of those green shoots is immigration.
Yeah.
There are, again, some rumors that maybe the Senate, having passed a bipartisan immigration bill, that maybe the House, where John Boehner has blocked it so far, might be willing to do something.
Yeah.
What do you hear?
I think that it's more than a rumor. I mean, it's real. The House Republicans are right now in Cambridge, Maryland, on the Eastern Shore, having their retreat, which is where they all sit and they talk about what they would like their caucus to be, what their message should be. In some cases, they're all closed-door meetings, but it's an airing of grievances. It's tough. But one of the things that they did yesterday was the leadership passed out a series of principles, sort of an outline, just a one-page outline of what they thought would make a sensible immigration reform, and including some form of legalization for, people who are here without papers and who meet other qualifications like not being a criminal. That's a big step from what we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Now, whether anything comes of it is hard to say, but the fact that they're willing to wade in so aggressively with this set of principles that they're going to then try and market around, and then in theory at some point later in the year pass something that's a really big green shoot coming through. It means they're really going to try.
I was on Morning Joe in New York Monday morning, and this issue came up, and Bill Kristol was there, and Joe Scarborough, of course. And both of them said it would be a huge. So just one.
Right.
It's not all Republicans are not on board yet.
No,
both
that's
of them
true.
said it would be a huge mistake to do immigration reform this year because we get nothing for it this year. Our base doesn't want it. We're not going to help get votes in our primaries. Therefore, let's wait until 2015 to do something.
And I have heard the exact same thing. I've heard it actually the exact same thing from the leadership. So from the John Boehner type folks. Bill Kristol may be right. I mean, I think he also had a column where he was suggesting that in exchange for a clean debt ceiling increase, we don't do immigration this year, which I thought was kind of. But I think my opinion, and I don't, I think that those are very solid opinions about how the Republican Party will deal. But I think they have nothing to lose by trying, because one of the things that they're proposing, for example, is that before anybody can have any kind of legal status, there are certain enforcement triggers that have to be met. You can make those triggers highly, highly difficult to achieve, to appease anybody on the far right who might be upset about that. And then but you're still saying you're trying. You're still actually you're actually wading into a really tough issue. So I think they have nothing to lose as long as they keep listening to their base about what their base wants.
And not to mention, maybe thinking about what's good for the country, too.
Well,
hello, there is that. 23 minutes after the hour now. Fawn Johnson here from the National Journal. Join the conversation at 866-55-PRESS.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
28 minutes after the hour. Fawn Johnson, almost time to say, well, thank you for coming in and goodbye. But I just have a quick question. So why are the Republicans now saying we'll take legal status but not citizenship for undocumented workers?
I think that the idea of giving citizenship, giving a green card to somebody who is here without papers is akin to, rewarding somebody for breaking the law. And for whatever reason, that seems to be just a bridge too far. So what they're trying to say is, if you're here and you didn't do anything else wrong, we'll just write you a parking ticket, which means you have to pay and stuff. And you can stay and you can work. And maybe you can use normal channels, so your kid can sponsor you, or your wife if you marry somebody.
But you can't vote because they might vote Democratic.
Just keep in mind that
this is the Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go, 33 minutes after the hour. It is Super Bowl weekend. No better way to get ready for the Super Bowl weekend than to start partying right here on a Friday morning, which we're about to do here. And enjoying the brews from Port City Brewery, located across the river in Alexandria, Virginia. And this is their third anniversary. How about that? No, again, start the celebration right here. Bill Butcher is the founder of Port City, who joins us in studio. Congratulations.
Thank
and
you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Bill.
Yeah. How'd you get this idea to start this up? You just you like beer so much you decided to make your own?
That's part of it. But actually, most of my career I've spent in the wine business in the Mid-Atlantic region. I worked for the Mondavi family for 12 years.
Sure.
So I was their sales and distribution manager and building their fine wine brands in the market. But I've always enjoyed great craft beer, and I've watched the industry evolve over the past 15 years. It has become more and more like the fine wine business. And craft beer has grown in the U.S. every year since 1999. So you've got 15 years of steady growth. And that, to me, really represents a change in taste, not just a fad or a trend. And looking around, it seemed that the Mid-Atlantic market could use more great local options for craft beer. And the more we looked at it, we found that the D.C. area was the only big city in the country that didn't have a microbrewery like ours.
No kidding, yeah. By the way, Fawn Johnson decided to stay around from National Journal. You can't resist. No. That's an offer she couldn't.
Yeah, we really twisted her arm to stick around.
Really
I know. But it's coming from the West Coast. I spent a lot of time where one of our sons lives in Bend, Oregon. I mean, there's microbreweries everywhere. We have a house in Marin County in California, microbreweries there too as well. Some great beers, and then I'm just blanking on obviously in the San Francisco area.
Sure,
so many there, but right in the Washington D.C. area. So these are the Mondavis of craft beer, is that it?
Perhaps, but you're right. The movement really started in Oregon, Northern California, and Colorado. Really, those are the three states that spawned the craft beer movement. But now it's taken off all across the country. We now have 2,700 breweries in the United States, and that's up from about 50, which was the low point in the late 60s, early 70s.
And Port City is available in stores everywhere. You told me from New Jersey to North Carolina.
Correct.
Right?
New Jersey.
By the way, Asheville, North Carolina, down, one of our big affiliates, 880
Sure.
The Revolution. That's become the craft beer capital of it.
It has. It's been nicknamed Beer City, USA.
Yes.
And so we make our beer available. That's as far west as we go, is Asheville, North Carolina. But I get down there quite a bit, and there's great craft beer down there.
You go down to Asheville with our program director, Brian Hall, down there on
my
880
God.
The Revolution. I mean, honest to God, he just crawls from pub to pub. Yeah.
It's a great scene.
And
down
his
there
wife,
for
Mary
sure.
Elizabeth, keeps up with him, too. Yeah, that's the best part.
It's a real
So
scene.
what are we drinking here this morning?
Yeah, let's
Where
drink
do
some
we
beer.
Come on, let's get...
I
yeah.
brought 3 of our flagships today.
right.
Let's start with our downright Pilsner. This is a Czech-style Pilsner.
Uh-huh.
And so this is...
what does that mean, Pilsner?
Pilsner is a style that comes from...
That's my iced tea.
Watch out for the coffee mug.
Yeah.
It's a particular style of
because that has
lager beer.
gin in it, so you don't want to mix it up.
It's cold fermented, and it originated in Czechoslovakia years ago. So that's where the style came from. Ours is an American
I got a
take
beer.
on a Czech-style Pilsner. So when you taste this beer, it's going to be crisp. And it's going to be very hoppy. We give this beer a special extra dose
I
of
feel like
hops.
the ballpark is just right around the corner.
Right. This is so perfect.
That is good. Really good.
You know,
No,
it's,
wait, the thing is, we're drinking 3 beers. I just realized we're going to have to drink this to get in the next... Or we could have a bottle, too, right?
we
Taste from
can
a
do
bottle.
that as well,
Okay.
yeah. But
All right.
beer is different than tasting wine because wine tasters spit and beer tasters do not.
I wasn't about to spit.
I like that.
We saw the Sideways. We saw the movie.
Right.
Right.
Well, this beer, you mentioned the ballpark, and we initially brewed this beer as our summer seasonal, but it has proved to be so popular that our customers have demanded that we keep it on year round. So we brew the downright Pilsner year round now. So
And
it's
may I
always
just say, a perfect breakfast beer. If you're looking, if you're looking for the perfect beer to drink with breakfast,
This may be the earliest beer I think I've ever had.
sweet.
Well, I'm a wine drinker, too. I very seldom drink beer. I would drink this beer anytime.
This is
Well,
a
thank
good, like, if you're not into beers, you're not into, like, super strong or hoppy beers, this is just it's a good chugging beer, as I would call it.
a good stepping stone into
There
the
you
world
go.
of craft beer.
It's the Pilsner, is that it?
That is the Pilsner, yes.
Very good. And I think this is kind of a universal. Anybody could like this beer, right?
Yeah, easy drinking. It's easy drinking for people that don't like very intense flavors, but it's also got layers of
Ease up, Bill.
complexity.
Man, Bill just tipped that glass up to the ceiling. You still have some show to do left,
I'm
buddy.
thirsty.
Damn it.
All I
Okay,
have to do is blog the rest of the day, so
All right, good.
I'm good.
Good.
All right, what's next?
We'll work our way up to the stronger beers. The next one, this is our Optimal Wit, and this is a Belgian-style wheat ale, and this is a traditional Belgian recipe. See your glass here, Bill.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
You'll fill it up. Casey up at bat.
Good.
There you go.
Thank you.
So this beer is brewed with spices. We use Belgian yeast, which give it kind of a fruity character. But this wit beer is a traditional Belgian style, and it's traditionally brewed with spices. We brew it with coriander, dried Spanish orange peels, and grains of paradise. So it gives it a nice
Smells
citrusy
so
character.
good.
No kidding. Wow.
Just the smell of it, I mean, very aromatic. So good.
Yeah.
And this is our best seller, and has been since the day we opened 3 years ago. It represents about 35% of our production. It's on tap last season, Nationals Park. It's for sale at the ballpark.
Yay!
And our biggest honor so far has been this particular beer won the gold medal at the Great American Beer Festival for Belgian-style wit beer. So we're starting to receive some national acclaim for the quality of our beer.
Fantastic.
That's so good.
Tell me the difference between Belgian and Czech style. Because I tend to be a big fan of Belgian every time I see a Belgian style, but the Pilsner that you had also reminded me of the Belgian style.
Okay.
So
the style really is it refers to the type of yeast that we use. And so this Belgian wit beer uses a traditional Belgian Trappist yeast. And so that's what gives it its Belgian character. And when we talk about a beer that's made in the Czech style, it's made with ingredients that originate from the Czech Republic. So it comes with Pilsner malt, which is of Czech origin, and the hops that we use are called Satz hops, which are also originate, they're Czech in origin.
Yeah, that
Isn't that
is
good?
so good.
It's
it really
delicious.
is.
Yeah.
It is. It does remind me more and more of the varietal wines and the fine varietals that you get from
craft
Sonoma
beer.
County and
It really has evolved, and it's become much more complex. And the great thing about craft beer is that it's now getting, it's developing the same respect in the market that fine wine has always had.
Right.
And you hear people that are into craft beer describing craft beer the same way that you hear wine geeks talking about fine wine.
You know what they say about the fine wines in California? Sonoma County makes wine. Napa makes auto parts.
I've heard that. You know, my former employee, the Mondavis, might beg to differ.
I know. I knew Robert Mondavi, by the way.
He was a great guy.
He was in Napa. Yeah, let's move on. What's our next one?
Great. Next is our monumental IPA.
Yeah. Oh, God, Fawn.
And IPA stands for India Pale Ale, and it's the best-selling style of craft beer in America.
Right. This is what our sons love.
Yes,
right.
People love the hoppy character of IPA, and this one is, we call this an East Coast IPA because a lot of IPA is extremely hoppy, very bitter, and can be hard to drink with aggressive flavors. We refer to ours as an East Coast IPA because it's more balanced. It has more malt character that we believe balances out the hops. So it has the hop bitterness, but it also has the malts to balance it out. So the East Coast style is developing kind of a cross between the British style and the West Coast style, which you got malty on one end, hoppy on the other, and the East Coast style is right in the middle.
And what do you tell people who say that they don't like IPA? You must hear that.
I was about to say, I'm one of those people. I catch a lot of heat because I don't love IPAs because it's when they're super, super hoppy. Like, I feel like my cheeks are buzzing, and I just don't, you know what I mean? But, like, this is really smooth.
Well, thank you. And we do hear that a lot. There's a lot of people that, when they're first getting into craft beer, they want these excessive flavors, and they want the hoppiest beer that they can find. But as their palate evolves, they tend to come back towards the middle, towards balance, and really balance and harmony. That's where happiness is found, and that's where we try to brew our beers. That does have the hop character, but it's also balanced. And so we like, this is probably a more sophisticated style because it is more balanced. We also believe that it belongs on the table. It's a great match with food because it's not aggressively flavored. This one also, by the way, won a bronze medal at the Great American Beer Festival in 2012.
Yeah. First of all, I have to say, I drink my beer with pretzels. So
Nothing wrong with
that's
that.
what keeps me going here. I apologize for the for crunching into the microphone. Yeah, this is a lot stronger than the first two we had.
It is,
but I like it.
Well, thanks. Well, just like a wine
like
tasting.
you said, Peter, it's not real strong.
Yeah, there are some IPAs that you take
that
and you just it'll knock your head off. But this is really smooth.
Thanks. Yeah.
Right.
Well, you see that the beers are getting stronger, and just like a wine tasting, you go from crisp and light to the more full-bodied and heavy. And so we do the same thing in our tasting room. When we're tasting beers, we start with the light and crisp in style and move through getting progressively more full-bodied.
All right, so we have another beer to taste here, and we have a little more work to do. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Bill Butcher from Port City Brewery with Fawn Johnson.
I love this. It's like, let's get her drunk. Like, get her to talk about politics and then get her drunk.
Yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
By the way, if you can't find this locally or whatever in your store, you can still find out all about it at portcitybrewery.com. portcitybrewing.com, and we'll be right back in the beer hall here.
This is the Bill Press Show. is the Bill Press Show.
We are celebrating 12 minutes before the top of the hour. We're celebrating the 3rd anniversary of Port City Brewery here in the studio. And what better way to celebrate than to sample the product? Bill Butcher is the founder of Port City Brewery. Congratulations. You have big plans for this 3rd anniversary? Fireworks show or something?
Not a fireworks show, but we're tapping a special beer in our tasting room that's been cellaring in our tanks for 8 weeks. This is a very special Bock beer. It's called a Hellerbach or a Maibach, and it's the lightest style of Bock beers. So we wanted to do something special for our 3rd anniversary. We call this beer Colossal 3, so it's a big beer for winter, and we've brewed a colossal beer every year for our anniversry since we started.
And you brought some in here?
I brought some in here today,
God.
yeah. This beer is draft
we'll
only.
all just hop on the bus after the show and head down to...
we can do that. You're actually the first people to try this beer because it's not officially tapped until 3 o'clock this afternoon.
I have to tell you, like before I even have a sip of it, the smell
It's delicious.
is incredible.
Wow.
And I don't know what it is, but
It's like honey.
yeah, it smells almost like candy.
Yeah, it's got great fruit character to it. It's fruity. It's a little bit
Do you
sweet.
have it there?
I do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
It's
don't
delicious.
have any. Okay, I'm sorry.
See, this, I managed
Wow.
to spill on myself, already. So
Fawn,
that-
you're out of control.
I'm out of
That's so good.
So this beer is draft only. We don't bottle this, so it's just a very limited edition. But it's a strong beer for winter. It's very malty, very hoppy, but it does have the kind of trademark clean character that our beers all possess.
Yeah, let me taste it first and more questions for you.
This is such a good beer. Like a phenomenal
beer. Let me tell you, if Peter knows. Peter says that.
I've been drinking all morning, though, so... I should probably stop before the Super Bowl starts on Sunday, so we'll just keep going. Isn't that good?
Yeah, yeah. Wow. So tell me about this whole culture of craft beer. I mean, it's really taking off, right? I mean, and is it just in certain parts of the country? Again, we mentioned from Northern California, I'm used to it. Oregon, I'm used to it. Even Delaware, where I grew up with Dogfish.
Dogfish Head, yeah, they're one of the leaders, one of the market leaders.
But in the South, in the Midwest, I mean, is this Chicago area? Is it all over?
It's taking off, like many things, it's taking off on either coast. It's taking off on the West Coast, it's taking off on the East Coast, and big cities across the country. So you mentioned Chicago, that's a great beer city. And so big cities all across the country. But craft beer is still only 6% of the beer market. But it's growing, and it has grown every year in market share, in sales volume, and in dollar volume since 1999. So this really represents a whole generation of people that have come of age drinking beer that want more flavor.
One of the differences that I see, Fawn, maybe you too, you go to a supermarket or a store to buy beer. I mean, it used to be you just got a 6-pack, right? I mean, now you have so many choices.
The choice is staggering. There's
last
always
time I bought beer, I mean, I'm looking at it, where do I start, right?
Yeah.
Where do I go? I mean,
What's happening is you're seeing many more styles come into the market, but you're also seeing a shift towards regionalism. You're seeing people that are looking for more local, not just beer, but also food. They want to know where their vegetables are growing. They want to know who raised their meat, and they want to know who made their beer. And so there's a real movement towards seeking out more regional and local products. And we found just a great market here in the Mid-Atlantic, a lot of pent-up demand for people that want to drink local.
And now
farm-to-table drinking, I like it.
And now in Washington, D.C., we have our own distillery with Green Hat Gin.
Sure.
And we've got Port City. We've got the D.C.
Brow.
DC Brow, yeah. There are
3 stars. There are a bunch of
stars,
good.
Yeah. Well, and I also, I don't know how much business you do with these big growlers. That, I mean, this is something that we will go to the brewery and have them refilled, and you hang on to them. I think that requires a little bit of effort, but... This is probably the only way that you're going to get your colossal beer.
A lot of the limited edition beers are only available on draft, and these growler jugs are a great way to get very fresh draft beer in your house. We sell a lot of these growlers. We get between 800 and 1,000 people a week to come to our tasting room. A lot of them are toting their own jugs to refill, so there's a green aspect of it, too, of reusing the same container over and over again. And it's a great way just to get the freshest craft beer possible.
Get drunk from Mother Earth. I love it. I love it.
That phrase, growler. And the first time I heard that phrase was over the holidays, Christmas holidays, in Bend, Oregon.
Okay.
and they had these growlers, and people were filling them up with like kale juice or something.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no.
I mean, you
no,
could
absolutely
build those things
repulsive. I mean, and they wanted me to try it. I said, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, we
but
just
this
put beer
is a
in
good
them.
use for it, and that's a growler. Is that what
It's a growler jug, yeah. And this is a half gallon. It's 64 ounces, so it's 4 pints of beer. And so a lot of people find it perfect for an evening in with a friend
Or breakfast.
or breakfast, whatever works.
How did they get that name?
There's many different stories, like many different stories. The best one I've heard.
You can tell that one off the air.
Okay, we're out of
time
the break.
here.
I'm sorry.
Bill Butcher, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you, Bill.
To Port City, portcitybrewing.com. Fawn Johnson, thanks for hanging around.
Yeah. Gee, my pleasure.
And if I can make it, I'll be back with a parting shot.
This is the Bill Press Show. The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show.
Well, we heard another champion resigning from the United States House of Representatives yesterday, Henry Waxman. After 40 years representing California, stepping down, and boy, is he going to be missed. It was Henry Waxman who took on the tobacco industry. Henry Waxman who defended and saved the Clean Air Act. Henry Waxman who fought the big ag companies to get pesticides out of drinking water. Henry Waxman, who first recognized the threat and provided medical help and services to persons with HIV/AIDS. Henry Waxman, who brought low-priced generic drugs to market. Henry Waxman, more than any other member of Congress who secured passage of the Affordable Care Act. Here's what it boils down to. Every single American today lives better because of the work of Henry Waxman. Great job, Henry. We're going to miss you. And folks, have a great Super Bowl weekend. Enjoy it and come back and see us again right here
This
on
is
Monday.
The Bill Press Show.